The Shiny Living Dex challenge is the true endgame to Pokemon, and I have tasked myself with trying to complete this daring feat. But just what is the Shiny Living Dex challenge? Well, firstly, a Shiny Dex consists of, well, all the Pokemon being shiny, but there can be a few exceptions and rules to this. For starters, Pokemon that are shiny locked are not included within this challenge. As of recording this video, there is a total of 37 locked Pokemon or forms that are not obtainable in any legal way. These include all the special Cat Pikachu forms, Victini, Keldeo and Meloetta, Ash Greninja, Pokeball patterned Vivillon, Hooper and Volcanion, Cosmog and Cosmoem, both forms of Magearna, Marshadow, Kubfu and both forms of Urshifu, both forms of Zarude, Calyrex and its two steeds, Enamorus, Gimmighoul and Goldengo, the Ruined Legendary Quartet, and finally Koraidon and Miraidon. Hopefully someday these will become available through events, but as of right now, there is no way to obtain them through legitimate means. Another rule is that all Pokemon have to be obtained by me, so that means no trading with other people unless it's to evolve a shiny that is caught by me and needs to evolve via trade. Now this is where things can get a bit confusing and other people have a few different versions of this rule that they set for themselves, but here's the one that I'm setting for myself. So some people will just make sure they have one of every shiny Pokemon, and what I mean by this, for example, is they will just have one shiny unknown. Despite it having a ton of different forms, they'll only have that one. But for myself, I'm making it a goal of trying to collect the majority of different forms, and I will list the ones that I'm going to hunt here. All regional forms, all forms of Unknown, all forms of Burmy and Wormadam, both forms of Shellos and Gastrodon, all forms of Rotom, all three forms of Basculin, all four season forms of Deerling and Sawsbuck, all forms of Flabebe, Floette and Florges, all forms of Oricorio, the three Lycanroc form, both the Amped and low-key forms of Toxtricity, both forms of Sinistea and Poltegeist, Lord help me, both forms of Dudunsparce, the three forms of Tatsugiri, both the family of 3 and 4 of Mousehold, and finally the 4 forms of Squawkabilly. Now, you may have noticed that I left a few form-changing Pokemon out, such as Vivillon, Furfrou, and Alcremie, and I'll explain why. With regards to Furfrou, the only possible way to transfer Furfrou over to home without it reverting back to its natural form is through Pokemon Go, and I am excluding shinies from Pokemon Go since they have that hideous logo on them, aside from Melton and Melmetal, as this is the only way you can get them shiny. Vivillon is a tricky one, as the only way to get the other forms is by trading with others from different areas of the world. I did manage to get all forms of Vivillon in Pokemon Home after countless hours of wonder trading in Pokemon Y. But to get them all shiny is far too difficult of a task for this challenge, so for now I'm gonna set them aside. Now for Alcremie, I am still unsure about this one. There are 63 different forms of Alcremie, which I do plan on adding to my normal living dex. However, according to Bulbapedia, there are 7 shiny forms, and this is because shiny Alcremie always has the same color regardless of its actual cream type. So with that in mind, I'll probably try my hand at collecting the 7 shiny forms eventually. With the rules out of the way, this is my progress of each generation so far, not including any alternate forms except for regional forms. In Generation 1, I weirdly enough have exactly, well, 100 out of 151 shinies from this dex. As for regional forms of Generation 1 Pokemon, I have 9, so in total I have 109 out of 187. In Generation 2, I have 77 out of 100 shiny Pokemon, and as for regional forms, I have a total of 4 as of recording this video. So in total, I have 78 out of 106. For Generation 3, I have 81 out of 135 shiny Pokemon. And as for regional forms, I have, well, 0. So the total is 81 out of 137. In my favorite generation, Generation 4, I have 86 out of 107 shiny Pokemon, and the total remains that way as there are currently no regional forms for this generation. From here onwards, the totals will be very small, as most of my shiny hunting time has been spent in Pokemon Platinum, Sword, Brilliant Diamond, and Legends Arceus. So for Generation 5, I only have 12 out of 156 shiny Pokemon, and as for regional forms, I have 4, bringing the total up to 16 out of 165. In Generation 6, I have, well, again, 12 shiny Pokemon out of 72, and as for regional forms, I actually have all 3 Generation 6 regionals in their shiny forms, bringing the total up to 15 out of 75. For Generation 7, I ironically only have 7 shinies, which is the lowest so far, and with there only being 1 regional form from this generation, Hisuian Decidueye, which I have yet to get, the total is 7 out of 88. In Generation 8, I have 32 out of 96, and with there being no regional forms for this generation, the total will remain at 32 out of 96. And finally, in Generation 9, the newest generation, I have again 32 out of 103 with no regional forms for this generation either, so the total remains at 32 out of 103. Remember, these totals don't include alternate form shinies, and the video of my Pokemon Home account in the background is not every shiny that I have, as some of them are still stuck in their games. From now on, I will be recording and posting my shiny hunts onto this channel, so if you want to tag along on my quest to complete the Shiny Living Dex, then please be sure to subscribe, or don't, it's up to you. I've recorded and documented a bunch of shiny hunts already, which will be uploaded to this channel shortly. I appreciate you watching if you've made it this far, but until next time, have a great day.